Welcome to Guitar Search Saturdays. My name's Shane. Today we're heading to the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne to a place called Frankston, or as it's affectionately known, Frangers. I didn't know about this store until about a year ago when I found it by accident. Guitar Village basically stocks only second-hand guitars, second-hand amplifiers, and lots of great vintage effects. Like most second-hand stores, you never know what you're going to find. Let's go in and take a look. While this is a relatively small store in comparison to other music shops, they pack a whole lot of stuff in. Peavey! This shop always seems to have a really great selection of used Peavey amplifiers. Today is no exception. First up we have the Peavey Vypyr. I'm yet to actually try one of these modelling amplifiers, but I hear they're actually not too bad. To the right of that, hidden down the back, is a USA-made silver stripe Peavey Bandit. Cool. The amp on the top is an old school USA-made Peavey Studio Pro. About 6 weeks ago I tried that exact amp in the store, at least I think it's that exact amp. It just had too many rattles for my liking. Diagnosing cabinet rattle is sometimes like opening up a can of worms. Please remain calm. We have our first official lefty sighting. Actually, this particular store is pretty good in terms of left-handed stock. They always seem to have a few guitars. This particular Les Paul style guitar is actually made by Samick. What's interesting about this one is it actually has Telecaster style knobs on it. I gotta say, I reckon it looks a little bit odd with those controls. Another thing to point out about the Samick style Les Pauls is check out the horn. It's actually quite a bit different, which is refreshing, and I guess also to stop lawsuits from coming in. The guitar next to it, total rock and roll. Speaking of rock and roll, if you like your guitars 1980s style, check out this Ibanez in the center. One day, my dream is to turn up to a blues jam with a guitar like that. The green guitar on the top right is actually a really great looking Epiphone Les Paul. I haven't seen this particular colour in person before, and I gotta say it looks pretty 3D and pretty awesome. This particular guitar is called an Aria Diamond Series electric guitar. It features two P90 pickups. I actually kinda dig it. This particular axe, well, it kinda reminds me of an axe. I have no idea what it was, and I couldn't find any information online. Hey, awesome, this is what's great about secondhand stores like this. This particular bass is called a Vantage Avenger. These are old school Japanese made bass guitars that you can pick up for a bargain. This particular bass was made in the 1980s. If you do get a chance to check out any Vantage stuff, give them a look. Yep, you guessed it. That black left-handed electric guitar is none other than yet another SX guitar. I think these things follow me. Before this series is done, I actually want to try an SX electric guitar to see what they're all about. Some people swear by them, some people swear at them. Check this out. If you're into rock and roll, odds are you're going to dig a lot of guitars in this particular picture. There's guitars from Epiphone, Ibanez, Fender, and check out this vintage Japanese Squier loaded with a set of lace sensor pickups. It's just my luck to always find these great right-handed guitars, being a lefty. On a side note, I'm also totally digging this Ibanez with the single humbucker in the bridge. Very Esquire. Right next to it we have a dual humbucker Fender Telecaster. This looks awesome as well. I've always been a huge fan of this particular guitar. It's a shame they don't make lefties. As I made my way to the end of the electric guitar room, I happened to notice a 72 Thinline Tele. These particular guitars look beautiful. My only criticism of these particular guitars is they sound a little muddy on the neck pickup. I've heard a number of these over the years and they've all suffered the same woolly overtone on the neck. It might be down to Fender's humbuckers, I'm not too sure. To its right and above, we have a handful of really great SG guitars. These are mostly Epiphone, but there's also a Gibson on the wall. If you've never played an SG, check them out. There's something kind of interesting and fun about getting all the way up the neck without anything stopping you. There's something really cool about that high fret reach that you just don't get on many other guitars. Hey, here's something we don't see every day, and I'm sure most people don't. It's a Peavey Classic Chorus 212. One of the cool things about this particular amplifier is they put the effects loop on the front. This means getting cables to your amp is a whole lot easier. Effects loop aside, I'm 100% certain this will peel the paint off the walls. I looked up the instruction manual and it looks like it's 75 watts RMS per side, so 150 in total. That's crazy loud. In the foreground, we have a version 2 Mustang 2. These are cool little practice amps for home. I always get asked whether or not these are loud enough to take out to gigs. The answer is no. As I was checking out the amps, I happened to take a look up. I noticed even more pointy guitars. If you're into metal or heavy rock and you live in Melbourne, definitely give this place a look. Laney amplifiers have been an interesting experience for me over the years. I've owned a VC30, which was a 30 watt combo, kind of reminiscent of a Vox amp, but I just found it a little lackluster. A mate of mine actually had the two 10-inch 15 watt amp, and that totally rocked. I think they're a total mixed bag. Make sure you play Laney amps before you pull the trigger. While my experience with Laney is somewhat limited, I have to say this is one of those cases where you try before you buy. In the front room of Guitar Village, we have a full-blown acoustic room. Most of the acoustics here are for the budget conscious. That said, there's also a handful of really nice Japanese acoustics as well. One guitar that I did get to play was a Japanese Suzuki left-handed nylon string acoustic guitar. That's quite a mouthful. It actually sounded awesome. The majority of these guitars are both Cort and Lag guitars. Lag is actually an American company. While their guitars are made in North China these days, the quality is still really good for what you pay. If you are looking for a good budget guitar, check out Cort guitars and also check out Lag. And that wraps up another Guitar Search Saturday. All in all, these second-hand stores are the way to go. Me personally, I'm going to spend more time shopping at shops like this anytime I've got gas for a new guitar. If you remember, I mentioned it had a lot of great vintage effects. They absolutely do. The only problem was I couldn't really film it without pushing somebody out of the way. Maybe next time. Thanks for watching. My name's Shane. We have one more episode before the end of the first 10 episodes. I've saved the best to last. I hope to see you next week for the season finale. Thanks for watching.